Have you ever pondered what truly transpires in a horse's eyes when it gazes at you in silence? It's not mere curiosity. It's not solely instinct. There's an enigmatic quality to that stare, as if it perceives more than your outward appearance, as if it sees right through you. For centuries, this profound moment has been disregarded, attributed to fanciful imagination or rustic romanticism. However, science is now beginning to unveil a phenomenon that utterly transforms our understanding. A cohort of researchers has unearthed an unexpected correlation between what a horse observes and what it feels. We are not discussing a rudimentary visual interpretation. This pertains to a form of perception that intricately interweaves emotion, imagery, and intent, all simultaneously, something that fundamentally challenges our conceptions of animal consciousness, and which elevates horses to a stratum of sensitivity that few ever deemed possible. When you approach, it isn't merely registering your movements, it is meticulously decoding your internal state, your apprehension, your tranquility, your authenticity, and the manner in which it responds reveals more about you than about itself. If this sounds hyperbolic, prepare yourself. For the revelations of these scientists extend far beyond mere visual acuity. It is about connection, about an unspoken language, about how a simple glance can convey a universe of silent information. And perhaps, in the final analysis, the horse was never just an animal, but rather a mirror, one that perceives that which even you lack the courage to confront. Remain until the conclusion, share your sentiments in the comments, and subscribe, because what you are about to discover may permanently alter how you perceive and are perceived. Imagine standing before a horse in a hushed pasture. You inhale deeply, it lifts its head, its eyes lock onto yours. There is no sound, only that profound, dark gaze, brimming with an ineffable quality. For centuries, we presumed this was merely instinct, fear, or curiosity, but we now understand it to be significantly more. The equine brain is processing not just your visual likeness, but the very energy you emanate. It perceives the unseen, it senses the unarticulated, and it responds with its entire being. This capacity to see beyond the superficial is not mystical, it is biological, it is tangible, and it is fundamentally reshaping everything science believed it knew about animal intelligence. The verity is that horses apprehend the world in a manner that amalgamates imagery, emotion, and intent. They do not merely look outward, they gaze inward at your very essence. And this ability, once perceived as arcane, now possesses a robust scientific foundation. Neuroethologists have discovered that when a horse observes a human expression or the movement of another horse, two brain regions activate simultaneously. The region responsible for vision and the region responsible for emotions, the limbic system. This signifies something revolutionary. The horse feels what it sees. There is no separation between visual perception and emotional response. For them, to see is to feel, and this fundamentally alters how we should behave around them. For centuries, we believed horses perceived the world simplistically, a wide field of vision to detect predators, limited color perception, and rapid reactions to movement. It all seemed instinctive, automatic, mechanical. But scientists have uncovered that this is merely the surface. A horse's gaze is not just a danger sensor, it's an emotional mirror. They don't merely register external events, they apprehend what resonates internally. When you approach a tense horse, it doesn't react to the sound of your footsteps. It reacts to the rigidity of your posture, the rhythm of your breath, the way you hold the reins. All of this is visually translated into emotion, and its response is not to your actions but to what you are feeling while performing them. Previous research already indicated that horses can distinguish human expressions: happy, neutral, angry. They look at photographs of faces and react differently to each. However, we always assumed this was mere visual recognition, akin to identifying shapes. We now know it transcends that. They associate every gesture, every glance, with an emotional state that affects them physiologically. Their heart rate changes, their posture shifts, their respiration alters. A horse seeing an angry face doesn't just register the image, it feels a genuine threat, and its body prepares to react. This is not blind instinct, it is sophisticated emotional interpretation. It is proof that the equine mind does not process the world with a dichotomy between seeing and feeling. Science has a vastly different narrative to recount, a story that begins millions of years ago when the ancestors of modern horses roamed endless prairies. In that world, vision was not merely a navigational tool, but the vital alert system that ensured the species' survival. Yet, something fascinating occurred over the course of evolution. The horse's brain not only developed enhanced visual acuity, but also the capacity to interpret what it saw in emotional terms. Because in a herd, survival didn't solely hinge on detecting predators. It depended on deciphering the intentions of other horses, on discerning who was trustworthy, who was dominant, who was fearful, and all of this had to be accomplished through gaze. The most astonishing revelation emerged in 2024. An international consortium of neuroethologists employed functional magnetic resonance imaging to map equine brains while the animals observed disparate visual stimuli, human expressions, the movements of conspecific, moving objects. What they witnessed was unexpected. Visual cortical areas illuminated in conjunction with the limbic system, the seat of processing emotions like fear, trust, and social bonding. It was as if the horse's brain did not segregate seeing from feeling. Each image carried an emotional weight. Every movement possessed an implicit intent, and the horse processed this entire spectrum in mere fractions of a second. The scientists christened this phenomenon nonverbal visual empathy, a rudimentary yet genuine form of empathic consciousness. This discovery sent seismic ripples through the field of animal science, for it challenges the long-held notion that empathy is an exclusive province of primates or animals with intricate cerebral structures. The horse possesses a brain of lesser magnitude than our own, yet it leverages its existing architecture in a profoundly integrated manner. Its vision serves not merely to locate sustenance or evade predators. It functions to interpret intentions, to comprehend emotional states, to forge social bonds predicated on mutual trust. It is an intelligence distinct from ours, but no less sophisticated. And now, for the first time, we possess neurological corroboration that this intelligence is tangible. A horse apprehends the world with its entire being, and its gaze acts as the portal to this imperceptible emotional universe. What remains utterly captivating, however, is the enduring resonance of this ancient mental apparatus in our present interactions. Even in domestication, even when removed from their ancestral prairies, horses retain this faculty unimpaired. They continue to interpret every gesture, every glance, every subtle shift in our posture. This implies that every engagement we have with them is, in essence, a silent emotional colloquy. You may remain oblivious, but the horse perceives. It discerns your nervousness, even if you endeavor to conceal it. It senses your tranquility, even in the absence of vocalization, and it responds to these cues with its entire physicality. This is the lexicon that evolution has imparted to them. If you learn to listen, you'll discover that horses have a great deal to say. Equine vision is a fascinating paradox. They see almost 350 degrees around them, a field of vision that seems impossible to us. But with this gift comes a cost. 2 blind spots, one directly in front of their muzzle and another behind their tail. This panoramic field of view was shaped by survival. In open grasslands, where predators can emerge from any direction, seeing everything at once is a matter of life and death. But what is most surprising is how their brain interprets this vision. Because they have lateral eyes, horses gauge distances by moving their heads. They align the world before they act. This is more than reflex. It's real-time cognitive decision-making, and every decision carries an emotional component. They don't just see the obstacle, they feel if it is safe or not. When they see human faces, their pupils and heart rate change according to the observed expression. They don't just distinguish, they react emotionally to what they see. A smiling face can relax a nervous horse. A scowling face can make them recoil. And this isn't conditioning, it's direct interpretation. In herds, the gaze defines hierarchy, trust, and care. A dominant horse rarely needs to touch another. A fixed stare is enough to move the group. The eye is command, but also comfort. When a mare gazes at her foal for a long time, she is doing more than watching. She is transmitting reassurance, and the foal feels it in its body. This type of visual communication is so precise that researchers can predict a herd's social structure simply by observing gaze patterns between the animals. Horses perceive shades of blue and yellow with clarity, but red eludes them. Because of this, the world they see is calmer, less vibrant, a landscape filtered by subtlety, perfect for reading intentions, not appearances. This chromatic limitation is not a deficit, it's specialization. In a world where survival depends on reading movement and intent, vibrant colors are noise. What matters is shape, speed, direction, and, crucially, the emotion behind the movement. A horse doesn't need to see the red of a flag. It feels the nervousness of the person holding the flag, and that is what makes it react. Have you noticed how a horse might ignore a strange object if you walk past it calmly, but will jump startled if you yourself are tense? It's not the object that frightens it. It is your emotion in the face of the object. Now, ponder this. If a horse connects sight and emotion in this manner, what does that signify for how we treat them? It means that every time you approach them burdened by fear, rage, or anxiety, the horse perceives it. Literally, their brain translates the body language of your emotion into a visual signal they process as either threat or safety. There is no way to conceal it. There is no way to feign it. The horse will always discern what you are feeling, and they will respond accordingly. Such is the beauty and the challenge of coexisting with an animal possessing visual empathy. You cannot deceive them. You must be authentic. And perhaps this is why so many individuals feel transformed after spending time with horses, because they compel us to be honest, with them and with ourselves. Why is this revelation so disruptive? Because it forces science and human culture to confront an uncomfortable truth. The horse is not a reactive animal, but a conscious observer. Everything we do in their proximity, every gesture, every micro-expression, every barely contained emotion, is visually registered and internally felt. The age-old notion of dominating the horse dissolves, because one cannot dominate that which sees into their very being. Confronted by this new gaze, the horse returns a silent question. Do you truly comprehend what you are projecting to me? And the answer, more often than not, is no. We ourselves remain unaware of our emotional burdens until a horse reacts to them. They become involuntary mirrors of our concealed sentiments. And this unsettles those who prefer to maintain control over their narrative. This explains countless accounts that previously seemed mystical. The horse that calms solely in the presence of a particular individual. The animal that refuses to obey a tense person, even if that person is technically proficient. The foal that selects a human and follows them as if they were part of its herd. All of this has a biological basis. The horse's brain is perpetually processing visual, emotional signals, and when it detects coherence between your actions and your feelings, it trusts. But when dissonance arises, when the body conveys one message and the emotion another, it withdraws, because for them, this signifies danger. Emotional incoherence equates to unpredictability, and unpredictability, in nature, is lethal. The horse is not being difficult, it is being wise. Consider the case of horses employed in assisted therapy. Equine therapists report that horses respond differently to each patient, even when all are following the same commands. An anxious patient makes the horse become alert. A depressed patient causes the horse to slow down. This isn't training, it's direct emotional reading. The horse perceives posture, gaze, breathing, and its brain translates all of this into mirrored emotion. It doesn't judge, it merely reflects. And in that reflection, the patient often sees themselves for the first time. This is the power of visual empathy. It requires no words. It operates on the level of the body, the gaze, the presence, and horses master this language like no other animal. They show us who we are without filters, without masks, without excuses. There is a documented case of a horse named Sombra. He lived at a rehabilitation center and was considered apathetic, uninterested. Caretakers believed he simply didn't connect with humans until they installed night vision cameras and discovered something shocking. Sombra didn't sleep. He spent his night standing, eyes open, body tense. When a team of behavioral ethologists was called in, they discovered he was visually reacting to the stress of one of the staff members who worked the night shift. This employee was going through a personal crisis, hiding it well during the day, but at night their energy shifted, and Sombra sensed it. When the employee was temporarily reassigned, Sombra resumed sleeping normally. He wasn't apathetic. He was in a state of constant vigilance, reading emotions that no human had perceived. The scientists' conclusion is profound. The equine mind connects vision and emotion within the same neural circuitry. They don't merely see movement, they feel intention. It's a form of empathetic awareness, primitive yet real. This is why they can anticipate human tensions, dangers, and mood shifts with almost telepathic accuracy. It's not magic, it's neurobiology. A horse's gaze isn't passive, it's an emotional radar. As you approach, it reads what your body hasn't yet expressed, and if it trusts, the gaze softens, the so-called calm gaze, eyes slightly closed, facial muscles relaxed, slow breathing. This is the ultimate sign of acceptance. In this exchange, two worlds touch, that of biology and that of the soul. This discovery redefines everything. Every interaction with a horse is a silent conversation. You can say whatever you want with your mouth, but what matters is what your body, your gaze, and your energy are communicating, and the horse will respond to that, always, because for them, Truth lies in what is seen and felt, not in what is said. This doesn't make horses superior or inferior, merely different, and perhaps, in some respects, more honest. They do not lie. They do not pretend. They are what they see and what they feel, and they expect the same from you. In this exchange, it is not the horse that is truly being tested. It is you. And this changes everything about how we should prepare ourselves before approaching them. Now, the next time a horse looks at you, do not avert your gaze. Remember, it is seeing more than your face. It is decoding your inner state and deciding whether you are a predator, an ally, or a mirror. What science terms visual empathy may simply be nature's ancient way of reminding us. The eyes are the language of trust. Share this video if you believe that seeing the world with empathy is a form of intelligence, and subscribe, because the eyes of horses still hold secrets that science has only just begun to comprehend.